Good morning, grandkids. This morning, I'm just getting over being sick, and I pretty much look like a rag and tired in my face. So I elected not to use the camera today for the book reading. We are starting out with book 5 in The Wolf Queen, and remember how manipulative she has been? It's really intriguing. So I'm anxious to jump into this book, and let's get started. For 21 years, the Emperor Antiochus Septim ruled Tamriel. So it's been 21 years since Antiochus was crowned as the emperor. And she was a little upset about that. So her little child, Uriel, must be about 21 years old by now. He proved an able leader despite his moral laxity. His greatest victory was in the War of the Isle in the year 110, when the imperial fleet and the royal navies of Somerset Isle, together with the magical powers of the Sigic Order, succeeded in destroying the Pandonian invading armada. His siblings, King Magnus of Lilmuth, King Sepphoris of Glane, and Potema, the Wolf Queen of Solitude, ruled well, and relations between the empire and the kingdoms of Tamriel were much improved. So that jellyfish-like man, his whole tribe or order or whatever they were, his invading army was destroyed. That happened in the last book. So evidently, Potema is getting along with Antiochus okay for the time being. But that's just a front, I'm sure. Still, centuries of neglect had not repaired all the scars that existed between the Empire and the kings of High Rock and Skyrim. During a rare visitation from his sister and his nephew Uriel, Antiochus, who had suffered from several illnesses over his reign, lapsed into a coma. For months, he lingered in between life and death, while the elder council prepared for the ascension of his 15-year-old daughter, Kintira, to the throne. Uh-oh. Potema's not going to let this happen, I know it. I'm surprised she hasn't sneaked into his chambers and killed him during the months he's been between life and death. Mother, I can't marry Kintira, said Uriel, more amused by the suggestion than offended. She's my cousin, and besides, I believe she's engaged to one of the lords of council, Modellus. So see, she's already conniving to get her son married to Antiochus' daughter. Oh, wow. You're so squeamish. There's a time and a place for propriety, said Potema. But you're correct at any rate about Modellus, and we shouldn't offend the elder council at this critical juncture. How do you feel about Princess Rakma? You spent a good deal of time in her company in Farron. She's all right, said Uriel. Don't tell me you want to hear all the dirty details. Please spare me your study of her anatomy, Potema grimaced. But would you marry her? I suppose so. Very good. I'll make the arrangements then. Man, she's going to sneak him in there somewhere or other. Potema made a note for herself before continuing. King Leromo has been a difficult ally to keep, and a political marriage should keep Farron on our side, should we need them. When is the funeral? What funeral? Asked Uriel. You mean for Uncle Antiochus? Of course, sighed Potema. Anyone else of note die recently? Oh, he's already dead now. There were a bunch of little red guard children running through the halls, so I guess Sepphoris has arrived. Magnus arrived at court yesterday, so it ought to be any day now. It's time to address the council then, said Potema, smiling. She dressed in black, not her usual colorful ensembles. It was important to look the part of the grieving sister. Regarding herself in the mirror, she felt that she looked all of her 53 years. Wow, she's aged from 14 when she got married. Now she's 53. A shock of silver wound its way through her auburn hair. The long, cold, dry winters in northern Skyrim had created a map of wrinkles, thin as a spiderweb across her face. Still, she knew that when she smiled, she could win hearts, and when she frowned, she could inspire fear. It was enough for her purposes. Potema's speech to the Elder Council is perhaps helpful to students of public speaking. She began with flattery and self-abasement. My most august and wise friends, members of the Elder Council, I am but a provincial queen, and I can only assume to bring to issue what you yourselves must have already pondered. She continued on to praise the late emperor, who had been a popular ruler, despite his flaws. He was true, septum, and a great warrior, destroying, with your counsel, the near-invincible armada of Pandonia. But little time was wasted before she came to her point. The Empress Gisela, unfortunately, did nothing to temper my brother's lustful spirits. In point of fact, no whore in the slums of the city spread out on more beds than she. Had she attended to her duties in the imperial bedchamber more faithfully, we would have a true heir to the empire, not the half-wit milksop bastards who call themselves the emperor's children. The girl called Kintyra is popularly believed to be the daughter of Gisela and the captain of the guard. It may be that she is the daughter of Gisela and the boy who cleans the cistern. We can never know for certain, not as certainly as we can know the lineage of my son Uriel, the eldest true son of the Septim dynasty. My lords, the princes of the empire, will not stand for a bastard on the throne. That I can assure you. She ended mildly with a call to action. Posterity will judge you. You know what must be done. Wow, she's really laying it on the line, isn't she? That evening, Potema entertained her brothers and their wives in the map room, her favorite of the imperial dining chambers. The walls were splashed with bright, if fading, representations of the empire and all the known lands beyond, at Mora, Yakuta, Akavir, Pandonia, Thrace. Overhead, the great glass-domed ceiling, wet with rain, displayed distorted images of the stars overhead. Lightning flashed every other minute, casting strange phantom shadows on the walls. When will you speak to the council? Asked Potema, as dinner was served. I don't know if I will, said Magnus. I don't believe I have anything to say. I'll speak to them when they announce the coronation of Kintyra, said Sepphoris, merely as a formality to show my support and the support of Hammerfell. I guess they didn't listen to much of what speech she gave to the council, did they? You can speak for all of Hammerfell? Asked Potema with a teasing smile. The Red Guards must love you very much. We have a unique relationship with the Empire in Hammerfell, said Sepphoris' wife, Bianchi. Since the Treaty of Stros Mackay, it's been understood that we are part of the Empire, but not a subject. I understand you've already spoken to the council, said Magnus's wife, Helena, pointedly. She was a diplomat by nature, but as a Cyrodiilic ruler of an Argonian kingdom, she knew how to recognize and confront adversity. Yes, I have, said Potema, pausing to savor a slice of braised Jalfbird. I gave them a short speech about the coronation this afternoon. Our sister is an excellent public speaker, said Sepphoris. You're too kind, said Potema, laughing. I do many things better than speaking. Such as? Asked Bianchi, smiling. Might I ask what you said in your speech? Asked Magnus suspiciously. Oh, he hadn't heard her speech. There was a knock on the chamber door. The head steward whispered something to Potema, who smiled in response and rose from the table. I told the council that I would give my full support to the coronation, provided they proceeded with wisdom. What could be sinister about that? Potema said, and took her glass of wine with her to the door. If you'll pardon me, my niece, Kintyra, wishes to have a word with me. Kintyra stood in the hall with the Imperial Guard. She was but a child, but on reflection, Potema realized that at her age, she was already married 2 years to Antiochus. That's right, she was 14 when she married to Antiochus. There was a similarity to be certain. Potema could see Kintyra as a young queen with dark eyes and pallid skin, smooth and resolute like marble. Anger flashed momentarily in Kintyra's eyes on seeing her aunt, but emotion left her, replaced with calm imperial presence. Queen Potema, she said serenely, I have been informed that my coronation will take place in 2 days' time. Your presence at the ceremony will not be welcome. Whoa. I have already given orders to your servants to have your belongings packed, and an escort will be accompanying you back to your kingdom tonight. That is all. Goodbye, Aunt. Whoa. Potema began to reply, but Kintyra and her guard turned and moved back down the corridor to the stateroom. The Wolf Queen watched them go, and then re-entered the map room. Sister-in-law, said Potema, addressing Bianchi with deep malevolence, you asked what I do better than speaking. The answer is war. Whoa, that's the end of this book. She is steamed. Whoa. Kintyra is not going along with her plans, is she? Oh, happy day. I can hardly wait to see what's going to be in the next book. What is she going to do to retaliate? Okay, grandkids, I will see you at the next reading of The Wolf Queen. Bye-bye, grandkids.